Hey, welcome back everyone to FMK Anime. Few bit of housekeeping we want to get out of the way first. Well, not get out of the way, but we want to explain first. Big thanks to Team 4-Star for giving us permission to do this show. It means a lot, and we hope to do it justice. Secondly, I am here with my co-hosts. I am Meep, known as SoulKing777, joined by my co-host Dalaron.
Hey everyone, I'm Dalaron. You guys are watching it if on Twitch, already on it. And if not, you can catch these live streams at twitch.tv/DalaronQuest. That's DALARON Quest.
Alright. Also joined by my other co-host, Gilly.
I am Gilly.
He's Daisy.
That is the extent of that.
You mean Donkey Kong in Smash Bros. Anyways.
Yes. I regret nothing.
And thirdly, we should probably go ahead and give our list of shows we're watching and explain the rules. So what this show is this is FMK Anime, where each week we watch 10 shows and we judge them based on their quality. We can either give a show a fuck, a nice juicy eggplant, or you can give it a big blood-splattered knife. And each week we can cut a total of one show. 2 knives equals a death, but 3 knives take precedence over 2 knives. As well, we each get 1 lock. I, for example, locked in the show Adachi no Shimura.
I myself locked one of the shows we're going to be talking about in this beta episode, Majo no Tabitabi.
Mine will come up later, Yokoku no Moriarty.
Yeah. And we have fun little tiebreakers we will be doing if there are ties, as only one show can die a week, which will be fun when we start getting to that point. If you stuck around for episode 0 last time, you know that I will be probably stabbing the bear each week.
Save the bear.
And I will be supporting it.
And I'm the middle. I'm in between the bear and the bear and the bear.
You'll be the tiebreaker every time.
I'm trying to get rid of your unhealthy moe addiction, Gilly, but you won't let me.
For the audience's sake, we are referring to the anime Kuma Bear. Yeah, Kuma Bear.
Kuma Bear.
Yeah, forgive me if I get all those Kumas used.
Listen, we'll probably just end up calling it Kuma Bear from now on, but for the actual watch list itself, if you want to watch and play along, feel free, as the shows we are watching are Adachi no Shimura, or Shimamura, Yukoku no Moriarty, Majo no Tabitabi, Magetsu Warhite Zurst, King's Raid Ishi wo Sugumono Tachi, Ochi Koburo Fruit Tart, Ikebukuro Westgate Park, Jujutsu Kaisen, Akudama Drive, and Kuma Bear.
I said this last episode, but I'm gonna say it again in this one. I love that that's the last one on the fucking list, so we just always end on Kuma Bear.
Now you listen here.
It's very sophisticated. I will say, probably a good idea for the person who's going to be uploading this to his YouTube channel. Might want to put those names in the description so they're easier to find, just in case people have difficulty.
Oh yeah. If you're trying to catch the VOD, you can catch the highlights on my Twitch, or you can catch it on the YouTube channel of mine, Dalaron, where we'll be uploading this in different formats, either whole format or separated into lists. We'll still decide on how we're going to be doing that. But yeah, you can catch those, and all the names of the shows talked about in particular will be listed.
Which I just want to say real quick, 2 of my coworkers I ended up telling about this, and they watched it, and one of my managers ended up watching this. So if they're here, hi.
There we go. The real life
Hi,
bleeds
Mom.
into the virtual. Happy 2020.
What are you talking about, Gilly? She's upstairs. Actually,
Hi,
wait, no,
Mom.
What are you trying to
So-
say?
But yeah, just to give a brief overview again. So the whole idea of the show is that we have, I believe, 10 shows this season. We have 10 shows this season, and we'll be mutually viewing them as they come out and reviewing them on an episode by episode basis each week as we come together to discuss our thoughts and decide whether or not we want to keep watching it, which gets that big old fuck, or we are done with it and we are killing it dead in the gutter. And at the end, we also get to marry the show, right, mate? We all get to pick our ideal anime of the season.
Yes, that will be the retrospective when it'll essentially be the episode where we talk about the last episodes of the shows, because obviously some are going to end later than others. Though for Jujutsu Kaisen, I do believe it's going to 24, either that or it's going to 25. So we will have to discuss later how to handle that. If it lives, obviously it's going to go into the next season, but it'll be interesting to see how we decide to handle that.
Again, if you're hearing this is the second of our episode 0 series. You guys can catch us talking about Jujutsu Kaisen and Kuma Bear at length in the previous episode, either in the Twitch VODs or on YouTube. But yeah, this is our first time taking this on. Again, huge shout out to the folks at Team 4-Star for originating this idea. And yeah, guys, join the conversation and please let us know what y'all think thus far and ways that we can improve and things that you've enjoyed.
Yeah. And with that, I believe we're ready to get into it. Are we ready, gentlemen?
Yeah.
Alrighty. So let's start with
spaghetti.
let's start with King's Raid Episode 1. You guys are gonna love the synopsis. Generic McAnime boy wants to be a good knight while demons were spotted in the forest. Turncoat General brings a band of drow into the city that want to take the capital. Scouts are sent to the demons and die. Generic McAnime boy and Priestess Boobs go after their friend, who is probably dead, while the general pleads to send the Dark Elves after the demons. This episode is indicative of what it's based off of. So the synopsis of this show, like the actual show itself, is based off the mobile game King's Raid, which, all I can gather so far, this is indicative of the show for me, is that it's a show about knights fighting demons as well as dark elves. In a bit of a switch from last week, where the second show bored me to tears, this episode bored me to tears. Guys.
Yeah, we are going to be doing a better job at kind of summarizing the show, especially in its first episode and earlier episodes. But there's really not much to do here. This is a mobile game anime adaptation, and it's a fantasy gacha game. So you kind of know what you're expecting, except we really don't.
Yeah, I didn't even mention the flashback or flash forward from the start.
So where do we begin with this one?
Can we begin with that flash forward? That is the example. I'm assuming it's a flash forward.
Oh, you mean the thing in the very beginning of the show, like the very first second? Okay.
Yes, the two characters we're supposed to know because they're probably in the gacha game as main parts.
You're referring to the big demon dude and him with the light sword?
Yeah, was that the main character? I don't know. I couldn't tell. It was...
I think so. Yeah, I guess it was a flash forward. It feels bad coming out the gate with this for this episode, but I didn't care.
Yeah, what about you, Gilly? What were your thoughts?
It is hard for me to form any thoughts on the show in general. It is very bland. It's kind of hard to say much about it. Just very unappealing and uninteresting, at least for me.
Yeah.
I have it down on my notes where immediately thoughts of, oh boy, this does not look good. Animation, choreography, particle effects, special environmental effects, all of it just in that opening scene, and that was supposed to be the hook, right?
I don't know if it is. I think that's supposed to be an important scene from the mobile game. maybe if I played the mobile game, I'd enjoy this more. I don't know, because I don't care about any of the characters. You're thrust into it expecting to care.
I mean, this could very well be one of those cases of like mobile game advertisement or mobile game fan service. But if it's the if it's the former, it's like it really doesn't it didn't click for me. It did not click for me. There was like a lot of
I,
blandness and genericness, and some things were happening, and I was like, okay, I guess we're doing this now.
the main character starts off by saying, "I'm going to be the knight that protects everyone."
Oh, main protagonist Kun sure is protagonist Kun. There is no doubt about that. He sure is protagonist Kun.
I I have an issue with that flash forward because it is the worst kind of what it is. And last week we got a good version of a flash forward with Jujutsu Kaisen. It showed you a flash forward and it shows rightfully connect the dots that got to where it is. With how Jujutsu Kaisen started last week and where it ended, we can assume where the dots connect. I can't for this flash forward because this is like a end of series thing. You know what this reminded me of? If any of you saw that one anime that was based off of Soul Hunters, where they started with the final fight of the old anime.
That sounds vaguely familiar, but I'm ultimately drawing a blank.
I am too, and this show definitely reminded me of it. It's so to explain what actually happens in the episode itself. So it starts off with that flash forward. Then you see the knight training with 4 of his friends, and he gets his ass kicked by one of his friends. He then meets his old priestess friend, where it's said that they all used to be orphans. Then there's a meeting with a bunch of generals, and a obviously turncoat general, because he brings in a band of elves that want to take over the city, and of all the generals, he has the most notable design. he brings in the band of elves. Oh, also, another plot point: the king is apparently ill. As fantasy should be.
Of course, yeah. He's absent from the throne.
Demons have been spotted in the forest. We see the only interesting part to me about this show are the drow.
Well, they're not drow. They're just dark elves.
This is the D&D part of me coming out. You'll be hearing me refer to them as drow.
Yeah, in case you haven't realized by my Twitch server, yeah, we do the D&Ds as well here, folks, and you will see that definitely bleed in when it comes to like elven and fantasy terminology. So, apologies if that's not your cuppa. Otherwise, roll for initiative, which is just the most basic thing I could have said in that moment.
But yeah, the dark elves are the only interesting part to me so far. Oh, right, we didn't talk about the opening.
I was gonna say we have an opening. We have our first opening, boys.
Generic visuals, catchy song. That's about as much as I can say about that opening. I don't remember any of the visuals, but I can sort of remember the beats to the song.
Gilly, thoughts?
Nothing really impressive, honestly.
Yeah, on the opening
is what it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't particularly great.
For me, it's what I expect. Oh no, am I doing that voice to push it?
Yeah, it's happening again.
Alright, hopefully it's fixed now. For me, it's like... Why do you curse me, Discord? Anyway, yeah, as I was saying, I thought the opening was alright, actually. I got, strangely enough, like, late 90s, early 2000 vibes from the opening in terms of its composition and its, like, the way they kind of displayed everything. There's no room for spoilers, as the opening kind of just shows off a bunch of the different characters from King's Raid. It's a gacha mobile game anime opening. shows off a lot of characters, shows off the people we're going to be following, the characters in the game, as well as like dropping what I assume are fan favorite characters into the opening, as well as throughout the show. But yeah, the two thoughts I had while opening, the two thoughts I had while watching the opening was that I was getting like 90s, early 2000s anime vibes from it, and the second thing, due to the animation style, I was like, does this studio do H work? Like, do they do H? Because I'm getting that kind of like weird vibe from the character designs.
I think this is the same studio that did King's Game, so I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know. I didn't check if it did King's Game, but
Now,
I have things to say about the studios.
I could be completely wrong there, but I think this is the same studio.
I'm gonna save my thoughts in terms of like the studio's past work and my surprise for like my final thoughts. But yeah. But yeah, basically, let's just go through the episode beat for beat.
Do we want to talk about the ending? Do we want to talk about the ending first?
The ending?
Yeah. Did you?
It's not really much of an ending.
No, I mean not the ending of the episode, but the ending of like the ending, like anime end.
Oh, of course. I mean, sure, we can do that now.
I liked the ending. I actually really liked the ending. It had mystique. It got me interested into those two dark elf characters. I liked the visuals. The only generic part I can think of is when you see them walking, but that only lasts for like 10% of it. I don't know. You guys? Thoughts?
Gilly, you want to go before I lay down?
I mean, it just feels like the closing was the it gives off the feel that, hey, look, you've been watching this main character. They're not the main character. Have fun.
Right? Yeah. Thank you.
It feels like it's just like, this isn't actually the main character. Go about your day.
I think we're gonna get an L and light dynamic between the dark elves and the main character. Is what I think we're going to get. If that's done good, if that's done good or not, I have no idea.
I can see that. Yeah, Gilly, I thought the same thing when I was watching the ending. I'm like, wait, so is Reheat the main character? Like, are they baiting us with the first episode? Because even the like synopsis on like my anime list is like, it's all like discussing about Castle. Castle's our main character, by the way. Yeah, everything's talking about Castle and this and that and his journey with friends that he's going to be finding throughout this. But then the ending is solely focused on the Dark Elves. If it's almost entirely, if not entirely, focused on the Dark Elves, and on top of that, like, can we just talk about how like Reheat has like the most consistent animation and design?
Which character is that again?
That's the leader of the Black Edge.
Yeah. Yeah, he actually does have good animation. I like his design and the design of, I assume, his sister.
Is the sister the one sitting in the room? Which, by the way, so this is why I didn't want to talk about the ending because we're jumping to the end of the episode. But the way the episode pans out is that we're kind of introduced to like semi-introduced to the town, and then kind of like the political structure. It's all, in my opinion, oddly paced, but I guess it's just that usual, let's just get all the establishing shots and characters on the stage. And then like this Lord Noble comes in with the Dark Elves and is like, they can help us defeat the demons, and then we're cut to some character time with main character and his friends before they go off to hunt the demons, and then we're shown another room with the Dark Elves in them, and they explain the oppression that these people have suffered for 100 years in this country of, I believe it was Olivia or something like that, or Oliviera. But yeah, and how they truly do want to like regain control and have revenge for their oppression. Which, by the way, racism blatantly everywhere in this town.
Yeah, but the thing is the show shows us that they're okay to trust the Dark Elves because the Dark Elves do want to kill everyone and take the city, which really weird angle they're going with that. They're trying. It seems like they're trying to push the racism bad, but at the same time, they are right for thinking this way because the Dark Elves do want to kill everyone in the city. So
I
it's
mean,
like I don't know what the message they want to get across with it.
I feel like, as opposed to the last episode where we were talking about Jujutsu Kaisen and Kuma 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 Bear, uh, we're having a harder time talking about the show. Gilly, what do you think about that?
Like I said, it's just it was bland, it was generic, there was no substance,
Yeah.
which makes it hard to really try and digest and evaluate it because there's just nothing there. It's like asking me what plain tofu with nothing on it tastes like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I know where this is going. Um, do we
Oh,
want to
I
talk about the
am
show?
like
Yeah, go on.
99% sure where this. I know where this is going.
Yeah,
There's still like one more scene I want to talk about and get the things that I did enjoy out of the way.
right. Are we talking about when combat ensues?
Yes, I would like to speak about when combat ensues. Oh, actually, wait. Let's touch on the priestess first.
You mean
I'd like to.
you mean boobs? Fan service, McFan service?
Yes, waifu bait. Let's talk about waifu bait.
Sure.
I Well, generic, I did enjoy some parts with her when it wasn't all exposition. Like, God, why is there so much talking in this show? I don't care. Like every scene, it's a new like, oh, the dark elves are, oh, we used to be orphans. Oh, we need to take care of each other. I don't give a shit. Get me invested in the characters first before you dump this load of exposition on me.
So, I was gonna save this for my final thoughts, but I might as well say it now. The problem I'm hearing all of us have is that this first episode plays out like the opening scene to a mobile fantasy gacha game, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah. It's
It's
like if they
just
Sorry.
no, no, go on, go on.
I was gonna say it's like if they tried making an anime based on Dokkan Battle.
Yeah, it's like for anyone who's ever played a mobile gacha game, you know that there is like the exposition scene where someone comes in and is like, "Hey there, insert your name here. Sure is great to be having fun with you like always," or "Remember the times we used to have fun?" And then as you recruit your characters, because you always get starter characters in these games before you start, pulling and drawing characters from the gacha, uh, you kind of get your starting ensemble of mid-tier or low-tier characters, and this is exactly what this feels like. Except, unlike in a mobile game, I can't skip forward if I'm bored.
I mean, we can, but because we're contractually obligated to watch all of it.
Yes, contractually. Totally
See,
on paper.
if I was watching this for my own enjoyment, I would have stopped like 7 minutes in.
Yeah, and the introduction of the female character, like, it's like this cleric character who's, tall, blonde, wearing blue, very well
Big
endowed
tit.
chest, and blue eyes and everything.
Looks like the priestess off of Goblin Slayer.
Braceless off of Goblin Slayer doesn't have big tits. So that they don't like push that as her. They don't push that as her only bit of character, at least.
Yeah, but her like introduction was her talking to like a dude, and he's like, "Oh, here you go for a pretty lady, some extra fresh fruit," and then she does the priestly thing where she's like, "Oh, are you sure? Well, may the light be your blessing," or whatever. And I mean, it's hard to talk about the show that gives very little past the very much expected generic uh, introduction to this kind of series.
Yeah.
Like we got protagonist Kun, we got his childhood love interest, we got his friendly banter rival who he's fighting, sparring against in the beginning of the show, who's obviously stronger than him. I mean, they even say I'm a few levels higher than you. Like, come on.
Yeah. Like, he's the one that's been playing the gacha game for 2 years, and the main character's the one that picked it up last Friday and got one lucky drop.
Yeah, and the unfortunate matter of the situation here is that the show really doesn't have a lot to look at. The character designs are kind of generic in their own right. I mean, they look good, but with so much fantasy, isekai anime coming out, it's starting to kind of become washed with it. But like the town is like when the dark elf enters the town, they do this like panning shot of it, and it's barren. It's so empty. There's like a few people scattered around the streets, but it looks so empty and feels so empty.
I would watch 10 seasons of Kuma 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 Bear over this first episode.
Hey, Gilly, we've converted him. Also, can we talk about how like the lord who brings in the dark elves is so obviously the villain, or a villain?
Yes. Why do they trust him?
I mean, this man has Fire Emblem level design, like Fire Emblem levels of villain design. Like, yes, Chancellor, and who turns to the Dark Dragon. Like, he's wearing like shoulder pads gilded with like rubies and gold. He looks like he's a vampire lord.
I even showed up.
Oh, one more time, Meep. You were kind of choppy there.
Oh, how am I now?
Yep, you're good.
Okay. I said he even looks like Dracula when he showed up. And
yeah.
I started to enjoy myself when the action happened for the whole minute it was there.
You know what? Go ahead. Why don't you say your thoughts on the action first?
I enjoyed it. It was visceral. Like, when you see the guy's arm get cut off, him getting stabbed in the chest was weird, but I liked... Like, when his arm got cut off, I was like, oh, damn, shit's actually starting? Something I can glob onto? The one childhood friend gets shot, and he's like, arrows. And you follow the arrow as it circles and hits him in the head. It's like, okay, that's neat. Oh, you're sending him away, and there's no more action now? This was only like a minute. Why? No, give us more. No, not more talking. Damn it, anything but the talking.
Gilly, you have anything you want to add?
Oh, sorry.
Not really. I honestly cannot think of anything.
Nope, fair.
I don't have anything to say. Well, okay, I do. There's a couple other things I can say about this episode. After the scout comes back, they all go, oh, your friend is still out there. Your friend, we have to go save him. So he and the priest start to go out to the demon forest. And then it
was a little bit more like shonen protagonist like kind of level where it's just like everyone was telling him not to go because his friend is dead and they know how this job works, but he's like, no, I'm going to be a knight that protects everyone. And then he recruits the priestess girl, which is, I'm pretty sure, exactly how it happens in the game, and the priestess is the first character you recruit to your roster.
From what I remember, rather than recruiting, he didn't want her to go, and she said, no, I'm going, I promise to protect you.
True. I'm sorry, I was talking more from like a gacha perspective, like a gacha game perspective.
Yeah. Which is a very stereotypical friendship, yada 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 thing.
Yeah, and this character is a Kirito-ass Kirito.
Even blander, if I may if I can say so myself.
I do not care for him.
Yeah, neither do I. However, there was one scene that, before we get to the combat, which I want to talk about as well, there was one scene that like caught me off guard. When news of the demons break and protagonist Kun hears about it, he has this flashback to his mother obviously probably being killed by demons, and that was actually well done. That caught me off guard. It was like it wasn't as gory and dark as combat is, which I will speak about in a moment. But like it was this like granular filter over this flashback, and it shows like mom with super dead mom anime hair, uh, and like she's bleeding and she's doing that like smile, which is just like don't worry, you'll be okay, and then she probably died. Uh, and while it wasn't enough to capture my investment in the show, I thought that scene was pretty good.
It was well done in the wrong episode. That is what I they blew that load way too early for me. Even Goblin Slayer waited a few episodes before it showed like any sort of semblance of Goblin Slayer's backstory.
I mean, this is just exposition. I mean, I was literally sitting there and I hummed sometime midway through the episode, Bardic explanation, no, Bardic exposition, which I now want to homebrew as a spell.
Yeah, it's like if the spell Legend Lore existed and was an anime.
There is a few things I do want to say about the combat. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Meep. I thought it was like I wasn't expecting it. Like I was like, whoa, what? We went from 1 to 10 real fucking quick. Like the opening scene is like these like demons and undead like attacking them, and Jumpy Skeleton with the axe just takes a dude's arm off, blood sprays out of him. Other dude gets stabbed in the back, kind of like shittily, and then like his friend gets shot. Like one of the dudes, there is the captain character, which again we have to get better at names as this continues on.
They don't name him. They don't give him.
No, they do. They definitely. Oh wait, the brown. No, they name everyone. They name everyone, but like a few
They
times.
don't name the main character. At least they at least don't name the main character.
Yeah, they do. Castle.
Did you get that from the synopsis? Because they don't mention that in the episode.
No, they call him by name a few times.
Then I might have been thinking they were referring to the Castle of the Kingdom, because I did not get that as his name.
Yeah, no worries. It just really sounds like this show was losing you fast.
But yeah.
But yeah, Castle's like childhood friend who's like a higher level than him. I think like a paladin or a knight. You know, he has two subordinates, kind of at the same level or slightly higher than Castle. The brown haired dude and the blonde haired dude, whose names are escaping me at the moment. And you know, we're given like a few scenes, but again, it feels really exposition-y. And you know, one of them gets shot with arrows and kind of like takes a knee but not dead, and the other friend, the blonde one who was kind of like fighting off and trying to like help him up, gets brutally shot. Like we see the arrows, like Meep said, you see the arrows get fired from the bow, and we follow them all the way into his gut, which he bends forward, and then an arrow hits him right in between the head, and blood again. And like it was so much darker than I expected this show to go with its like gore and combat animation.
I will take anything over the talking, I'll be fair. I wanted them to get killed at that point. I was like the moment he got killed, I'm like, thank God, someone less people to keep track of. Good. Because it throws so many people at you in the first episode. And we're supposed to expect more of an ensemble.
Again, I just think this suffers from level 1 or like episode 1 or intro to gacha game. Sorry, I keep my mic cut out. This probably is only going to get like the one season, the 12 episodes, and they have to cover more of the game to sell it. But they couldn't dedicate more than one episode to establishing all of this. Although I think it would have been better if, you know, the character had more organic exploration in the town. But like the town didn't even fucking matter. I did appreciate anime Ben Franklin and Andrew Jackson though.
Yeah.
So shall we hold up some cards, y'all?
Yeah.
I will say one thing, and it honestly probably is going to be being I think the second positive thing about this show, and this entire time we've been talking.
Yeah, what is it?
I don't like the story. I don't like the characters. I don't like a lot of it, but I did like the animation just overall. It was
Really?
okay. It was pretty good. It wasn't
Yeah.
bad.
I did
Yeah,
not.
I'm not going to shit talk the animation because the animators definitely worked hard on it. It wasn't anything standout, but it's good for what it is.
I'm on the other end on the. I'm on the other end from this one for you guys. From you guys, I did not. I thought the show was bad looking, like bad, not bad, like horrible, like hard to look at, but like I found the animation to be bland, the character designs to be meh at best, and like the pacing to be awful. But like from the very beginning, like the very like that flash forward scene that we started this conversation with, I thought it was just. Bleh.
It's the animation is definitely uninspired. I wouldn't call it bad though. It's good. It's just uninspired. It's nothing original.
It got better at the combat. There's a couple of good stills that will be up for the when we stream this, but like otherwise I could not find a lot of stills and screenshots to kind of use for the stream of this podcast.
Can we just use the priestess's soulless eyes for the entire still?
Yeah, and that's another thing, right? Like why I asked if the studio does H work, because like the eyes are so like emotionless, and it's just I mean, like there was like so many unnecessary scenes. Like they animated her butt sitting down on the chair. Like why?
I appreciate the attention to detail to waifus. Okay, listen, I ain't gonna shit talk her design though. Okay,
someone
okay.
got paid to animate 2 seconds of her sitting down from the waist.
Yes, yes. I ain't gonna trash talk her design. I ain't gonna trash talk her design. It's
and the angles with her, the camera angles, where it's just highlighting her chest all the time, and I'm just like, God damn it, guys, come on.
yes. Listen,
Senpai, have you ever wondered why anime does such weird angles? What are you talking about? Shows nothing but cleavage with his head behind them.
Oh my god. Yeah. I mean, I really don't see what more can be said.
yeah. I'm ready to hold up cards if you two are. I'm gonna kill this show. Just I okay, we have a 2-episode rule, right?
Correct.
I'm definitely gonna have to fuck the next episode of Kuma Bear then. I would rather watch. I at least felt something watching Kuma Bear.
Ravioli, ravioli, don't loot the kumaloli.
I felt so. I felt nothing watching this. The frustration came afterwards when I had to think and process it. But during it, I just felt nothing. I was just sitting there in the call with the chair because I went, "Oh, it released an episode early. I'm just gonna watch this. Do you mind?" He's like, "Oh, sure." And I just sat there and he just listened to me, like going, "Oh, generic protagonists. Oh, they used to be orphans together." I just felt nothing.
Gilly?
Hmm?
You fucking the show, Gilly?
Yeah, no. No. I'm gonna pick the show up. Go, just taking a nice date. And as we, are on our way back, just gonna stop next to a field, shank it, throw it in the ditch.
That is a good decision.
As you were
I'm-
as you continued describing that, a smile just grew more and more on my face.
I, I, unless the next episode is something to behold, I don't hold hope with this show. I don't hold any hope with this show.
Watch, next episode's gonna open with the main character and priestess fucking.
Well, we did have a little bit of a they did have a little bit of a preview of the next episode, which just looks like, hey, we're recruiting 3 more team members.
Yeah, you got to get the full team of 4.
Not more people to keep track of.
We're definitely getting more people. I saw that in the preview thing.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I skipped the
no,
preview.
I watched it through. Yeah, no, this is a hard pass for me. Just execute it, kill it, get rid of it.
Listen, depending on how the other anime endings of this season go, at least this ending might get a nomination.
Yeah. Yeah. As far as
Maybe.
endings go, it was pretty good, but I'm with the rest of you too. Knife, kill the show. It was just boring, and we keep using the term generic, but and that's not a term I would use lightly, but unfortunately, it really felt kind of like more or less generic to me, like bland, just bland.
I felt like I've watched this anime before.
Yeah, it's kind of like Pop Tart, but it's mostly the crust, the edges. Um, I was kind of curious. I mean, I am kind of curious about like what happened to Mom, but like even then, I can pretty much assume what happened. And at best, right now for me, the show is feeling like one of those things that people go like, no, 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 you got to watch the first 5 episodes and then it gets good. And I'm like, I don't want to do that at the
A
moment.
show,
Hmm.
a show should only take 3 episodes at max to capture you.
Yeah,
At
yeah.
max.
And I mean, we'll see. We have a 2 episode rule where we can kill it and kill it and kill it, but the show can't officially die until at least 2 episodes have aired, and we kind of give it a shot. We might push it to 3 if we're not certain, just to kind of give everything a fair shake of the stick. But otherwise, we'll go. But
I'm gonna say how this anime made me felt. I feel like I may have been too harsh with Kuma Bear.
yes,
Hey,
That is
join
how this
us.
anime made me feel.
Join us in the moe.
I feel like I may have been too harsh with it.
Yeah.
like I said to me, Pierre, just the other day, I very likely won't be axing a show unless it is something completely a new level of awful for me. And then within like a little bit, and like right before I had watched this show, and I already knew how I felt, but I wasn't gonna say it while we're in a call.
Yeah, you said something, and I said I think this might be indicative of how you feel, Gilly, and you went, no, it's not. Like,
Do you guys have some more final thoughts on King's Raid episode 1?
can we please move on to Tabitabi?
Yes,
I don't want to give this any more of my time.
Then I have less thing I want to say, like my final closing thoughts on it.
Sure thing.
I think everyone kind of gets I think everyone kind of gets that we're not a fan thus far. All three of us have been unimpressed to say the least. But in regards to the animation and the studios plural that are behind the show, for the studios that did Gunpla Build Fighters and Gundam Orphans, as well as all of the Pokemon movies and legendary animes like Spaceship Yamamoto 2202, 2202, and the original 1997 Berserk, this show looks really fucking bad. The studios that did this are like made legends, like the original Berserk anime and Spaceship Yamamoto. And the other studio is Sunrise that did, Blood Orphans, Gundam, and also Gunpla Build Fighters, which are gorgeous shows. Like Gunpla Build Fighters had so much gorgeous particle effects and other like additions to it. I am really, really surprised by how bad this show looks. And I know you guys disagree with me, but that's just my stance on it. Like,
Well, they were given a constrained budget because at the end of the day, like Gilly said, it's just an advertisement for the mobile game.
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. But the end of the episode left me underwhelmed and confused about who we should be really paying attention to. Either Castle, the protagonist could, or the Dark Elves, because they seem to have the much more interesting storyline, regardless of how edgy they may or may not be. And the ending was the opening was good enough. The ending was nice. It looked pretty.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it.
Sorry, my push to talk is still messing up.
If you want, you can just take it off the push to talk for now.
Yeah, I fear that will I don't want to risk you guys capturing echo, and for our listeners and viewers to have to deal with that. But yeah, regardless, the show was pretty bland, and despite even the dark gray bit at the end of like the dark gray edgy murder blood combat didn't save it for me.
If the episode was more of that, I probably would have at least given it a fuck for this week. But the fact that we only had a minute of it in 24 minutes, and the rest was just talking and talking and talking, that bored me out of my skull.
I'll be really surprised if this show becomes like an edge fest, like it's all blood and gore to the point of being ridiculous. Because if it was like silly and just like super over the top, I would have at least laughed, right? But this is just,
Dalaran, it doesn't have to hurt us anymore. We can move on. You have the power.
It doesn't have to hurt us anymore for this week.
You're right. But let's move on to Majo no Tabitabi, Episode 1. Elena is a girl who dreams of being a witch and traveling the world like a witch of legend from her children's books. So she studies hard and becomes a witch's apprentice. However, because she is so young, no one wants to take her as an apprentice. However, a mysterious witch appears in the woods and seeks her out. The witch is named Frond and makes her disciple, but for about the first month, she only has her moon do mundane things and acts a bit like a slave driver. Eventually, they have a test where Elena loses and ends up breaking down, crying in front of Fran. Fran admits that Elena's parents paid her to teach her humility. She trains her for real now, teaching her to become a great witch. Sadly, Fran must return home, and Elena starts her journey to travel around the world. Indicative of last week, one show where I was bored on my skull, and one show that gives me a lot of hope for the series.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that.
I enjoyed this episode. I did feel some parts were a little bit rushed, but this is a episodic series that is getting probably 10 to 13 episodes. So I understand episode 1, establish how this character is going on their journey. And establish relationship with the parents, relationship with themselves, relationship with their master. A lot like I've compared this show to Kino's Journey in our private talks, and I'm not saying like the recent Kino's Journey anime, because I actually feel like this episode was done better than episode 1 of Kino's Journey.
I need to watch Kino's Journey. You're not the first person to reference it in this kind of discussion, and I just want to have that basis. But yeah.
What are your thoughts, as this was your lock?
This was my lock, yeah. I enjoyed it. I didn't I think I had more expectations going into it because it was my lock. I had like a higher expectation of the show, and I don't think it was fully met, but it's not like it was bad by far. To specify one thing in your summary, the test they have is test by combat. So after 4 months of her doing nothing but house tasks and chores and menial errands, her tutor, so to speak, just calls her out and challenges her to a duel and does not really hold back. And but we'll talk more about that. So again, beat for beat, as the episode begins, the first thing I learned about this family is that mom loves her daughter and dad loves cake. I mean, he really loves cake. Like that whole opening shot with cute little tiny Elena talking about like, I'm gonna be a witch and travel the world. He's just going to town on that piece of cake, just hum nom nom nom.
If it was his wife, he'd be saying it would be a piece of pie.
What do you think, Gilly? I can't believe Gilly's dead. Gilly?
I'm here. It's just I'm honestly not sure.
Well, go on now.
I liked the show, but honestly, I don't know how I feel. I didn't have a bad time. I just didn't feel like I had any much of a particular memorable time with this either.
Hmm. I'm
Didn't feel like
curious.
I didn't feel like I get much standing out here either. So it's just kind of bleh for me.
Yeah. Okay. I'm curious. What order did you guys watch them in? Because I watched Maho na Tabitabi, then King's Raid. How about you, Gilly?
That's the order I watched it in.
Mm-hmm.
Same.
Okay.
I,
Okay. Interesting.
I enjoyed the exposition of this, and ultimately, I thought the problems we had with Jujutsu Kaisen's exposition, I didn't have that here. I thought it was done well. We were explained the stuff so sparingly, and it wasn't just thrown at us all at once. Like, and again, this is indicative of the genre it is. It is a episodic traveling from place to place with each. Here's this new episode of the week. Here's this area, and where and what's going to happen here. Like, it's indicative of that, and that's not for everyone. Now, I have my worries in that, but I also have a lot of faith in this show because I I like Elena. Of all the main characters we've seen in these shows so far, she is my favorite.
I think she's the most human.
Yeah, purely because she has a flaw. She has flaws, but even though we'll get to it, but it seems like it's largely taken care of by the end. I hope it isn't. I hope it isn't just okay, she's perfect now. I hope that isn't it, but we'll get to that.
I don't think that's gonna happen. They made her a prodigy, but they also made her humane and human enough to kind of,
Yeah.
stay grounded. And I think I know what you mean by we'll get to that later, so I agree. Um, I'm gonna take it back to the beginning of the show. So I locked. I had a hard time choosing my lock for this season. There was a lot of interesting shows and a lot of shows that kind of intrigued me. But ultimately, I decided to go with this as my lock because um, it's. Do we know for a fact that it's episodic?
Yes, because in the synopsis it explains her going on her journey from place to place, having all sorts of different adventures. The
Yeah, but
most I see is having like 2 episodes at a country sometimes.
Full Metal Alchemist is going place to place. Doesn't mean it's episodic. But I agree. I think we all expect the show to be episodic at the very least, which I'm not mad about. Um,
Well, also I've read like the idea of the manga. This is a very popular adventure manga of going from place to place. Here's the new adventure of each manga.
cool. All right, sweet.
Essentially, one volume takes care of a country and a story.
Ooh, which leads me to fear that pacing will be a problem. If there's one thing that
Here's
will
the thing.
kill this show is pacing.
Here's the thing. The volumes are usually only 3 to 5 chapters, which
Okay.
which some anime do really well. Death Note adapted like at some points, like I think 6 chapters of its manga.
Ooh, can't. I never realized this, but yeah, reading Death Note as a manga would have been way different because it's just suspense after suspense. Anyway, but
And you
yeah,
have to remember,
from the beginning of the show. So I picked this. I locked in this show because the main character looked cute. I liked the story, and the thing that really sold me on this like potentially episodic story format is that the scenes and the scenery and the landscapes and the towns, everything looks gorgeous. I mean, like fucking gorgeous. And I think I'm not disappointed. We're not, except for one thing, and I'll get to that. But like the first shot that we get, like the first shot of the house, like the first outside shot when they show the house through the seasons, so fucking pretty. all the flowers during spring. Autumn was kind of diluted a little bit, but different people experience autumn in different ways. Winter, summer, all of it, just so good, so friggin' pretty. Um, and
Can I just say right now, I love
yeah,
the mom. One of the
yeah,
best anime parents I've seen in a while.
I don't.
She's just so supportive and loving of her daughter, but she also cares.
But she also paid off the witch to not train her, so she stays home.
No, okay, that's not what I got from that.
Hold
So
on. Before we jump to that, let's talk about the family scene, the childhood scene. Like the very opening scene where we see baby Elena just being like, I'm gonna be a witch and I'm gonna travel the world. Because I love the mom too. Like I thought like mom was great. She gave dad fuck me eyes and I thought like, oh okay. But like otherwise it's just like precious. So what did you guys think of the opening scene?
I enjoyed it. It gave enough to cement Elena's motivation. I definitely like that's what I liked about it is a lot of times people when they're younger will see something that someone else has done and go, I want to do that. Hell, that's what we're doing right now.
Yep.
Like talking about Chekhov's gun right now. Like this we are doing kind of that. We saw what TFS did and we wanted to do it ourselves, so we set out to do it. And that's what Elena is doing here, and I enjoy her motivation isn't complex, but I enjoy it. It's she wants to do something, so she's driven to set out and go do it.
How about you, Gilly? What did you think about the opening baby Elena scene? Wee little Elena scene.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to add much for this particular anime either. I just I I didn't get much out of anything I watched.
Hmm. This week these two episodes weren't really doing it for you, huh?
I look, I did what I was talking about them in the call. What Meep doesn't realize is I was unenthused because I wasn't happy about either of them.
Mm.
Well,
I
in that
I just was
case,
not I was not feeling either of these shows, and honestly the Macho no Tabitabi I kind of expected that's how I'd feel because the description, the type of show it is, that's never been my cup of tea.
And that's perfectly valid. It's not usually
I
mine.
In regards to the episode of her as a little kid, it was adorable, and it definitely looked really nice. I liked something about the fire just felt welcoming. Uh,
The backdrops and storyboarding of this anime, fantastic. Early frontrunner of prettiest show this season.
so
Early front.
pretty. So, in that case, Gilly, are there any things that you can particularly mention about the show that you disliked, or things that you liked?
hmm,
Um,
I I liked the dynamic between characters. While each individual character never did much for me, the dynamic from character to character I thought was well done. I thought it was nice. Uh, interactions were enjoyable. Even if I didn't like the character themselves, they did interact in a very natural and realistic way, I felt.
Yeah. And
Uh,
oh sorry.
I could. I think the one character that I honestly enjoyed was the, just by themselves was the teacher.
Fran, yeah. Fran was great. Fran was really good. I liked her a lot.
the Starlight Witch.
I just think it sounded cool.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah.
first of all, the nonchalant way she does everything is nice, and the fact that we get introduced to her as she's just like spinning around with butterflies flying around her
Yeah.
that
being
she
just a
made.
complete
She made
airhead.
them.
Oh, I do have one thing to say when it comes to designs. Even the designs of the throwaway witches that keep slamming the door in Elena's face are all standout. I'd be able to pick them out of a crowd.
Yeah, yeah. They do like, and they make the joke where once we get her final design, Elena's, the Ashen Witch's final design, the big witch's hat with like the pointed top that's kind of bent with its own unique charm and the robes. She's like, "You think this is kind of plain and basic, don't you?" And she's like, "That's good for like," and her mom's like, "Oh, that's good for traveling." But even her design is just really good. Like this
Yeah,
whole witch aesthetic is just really nice.
it's a beautiful show, and that might be what kept me interested through it, because
Mm-hmm.
each scene I was going on with, okay, what's this new cool effect I will get? Like, to keep going story beat from story beat, like after, because Elena keeps going around town getting rejected from witches' apprentices because
Which
she
is super
graduated.
fucking rude.
Hmm?
Which was super rude. Like they straight up slammed the door in her face, and I don't know if that was them trying to do like comedic, like they were trying to be funny with it, like that was like a comedy aspect. But like, I was just upset because from the moment Elena showed up on the camera, I was like, I only know Elena for a day and a half, but if anything happened to her, I would kill everyone in this room and then myself. Like, protect the precious
I-
small witch bean.
I got different vibes from each person. Like there was the first person, I got a very dismissive vibe. Then there was the second girl that eyed her up and down. Then I'm like, you want an apprentice for a different reason.
I want to talk about the third one.
The
What,
one that was
Willow?
really apologetic.
I don't know why. I loved her, just sitting there wildly waving her arms like, "No, I can't take an apprentice right now. I'm sorry."
And she
Yeah,
still slams the door.
like
I loved it.
She didn't seem malicious. The vibe I got from her was one of either I'm not able to, or one of you're too young, you'll get hurt.
See, that's something I want to talk about. Because, Meep, you say, like, they didn't take her because they were worried she was too young and she would get hurt. But, like, I was kind of getting the vibe where these older witches didn't want such a young apprentice because they were, like, jealous.
I never got that implication at all. Like I said, I got different implications from a person. Like the first one, the implication I got was that she was just really dismissive. The second that eyed her up and down was definitely looking at someone like a like a cougar would look a stud up and down at the bar. Is the best way I can explain that.
Oh, I got different vibes. It was on that woman where I was like, oh, you're rejecting her because she's younger and prettier than you.
I never got that at all. Like
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean, we'll see how it goes because they didn't dive into it because even from the Starlight Witch was just like, I'm different than the woman here. I don't care if I have a younger, prettier apprentice, or I don't know if she actually said prettier. I might be
She didn't
projecting.
say prettier. She just said younger. She just
Yeah.
said younger apprentice. Like what is actually stated is no one wants me because I graduated at 15.
Maybe I read that wrong. Could be. I'd prefer that because that would make this town a lot less petty and shitty.
Yeah, like what I liked about that scene was I thought it was a different reason for each person. Like at the end of the day, it still was her age, but I thought one was dismissive, like, "Oh, you're so young, you won't be good." One was, "Oh, you're too young. I can't have you do what my husband can't."
Jesus.
And then the last one was, "No, you're way too young. You'll get hurt." Those were the vibes I got from each three.
Fair enough. I did really enjoy the third witch too, the really bashful one. She reminded me
Yeah.
of one character from a D&D podcast. I think we all listen to, or I know that you and me, I and Meep listen to. Meep and I listen to. Is just like really flustered and like feels bad for having to reject her, but like has to for whatever reason. Which I guess the difference in opinion when it comes to this. I know the show's probably episodic, almost definitely episodic, and they kind of had to establish everything in this first. Fuck, am I cutting out again?
Yeah.
That's annoying. I said basically what I said was that I know this was the first episode, and of an episodic, what is most likely and almost definitely an episodic show, and they have to establish everything about her early life and her leaving and beginning her journey in the first episode, and that's a lot to do. So I don't hold it against the show, but I would also be remiss if I didn't bring up the pacing of the first episode. I think I mentioned this earlier when we just started talking about it, and if there's one thing that really I didn't like besides the waterfall, was the pacing, and it just
Really? You didn't like the
didn't
waterfalls?
feel natural. It wasn't smooth for me. It was something about it just was a little bit different, and I don't know if it was because I was expecting a slightly more different show, and the main character was a little bit more kind of like introverted than I expected. But otherwise, yeah, I just thought it was a little off.
The pacing definitely seemed a little rushed, but if they took, normally I'd say I wish this took 2 episodes. If this took more than 1 episode, I feel like it would do a disservice to the kind of show it is, because it wants each story to be its own self-contained. It wants each story to be self-contained, I think. Like going off of the Kino's Journey comparison, it's very much like it's supposed to be, each episode is its own thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense too.
And I never thought the pacing was bad, just a little bit rushed at points. So I'm actually surprised you didn't like the waterfall. I liked that scene.
Not the scene, the waterfall itself, but we'll get to that as we talk about the test. Gilly, anything you want to add to that? I'll take that as a no.
Nothing I can add.
Yeah, fair enough. I think as you were talking, Meep, I realized what it was. It finally hit me. I wanted more world building. I wasn't getting the hyper, like, go gung ho attitude that I kind of came in and that's on me. That's not on the show. Those are my expectations, and that's not fair for me to put on the show itself.
I can fairly say you will get those from the
I don't want to hear it.
No, this isn't a spoiler. This is the genre itself. You will,
Okay.
that will come in the coming episodes, because those episodes are about, each episode, much like Kino's Journey, is going to be about the country itself, how it works, how people interact with it.
Yeah.
That's how the genre goes. That's just how the genre goes.
Yeah, I was like, there wasn't enough talked about the Witch Academy or how magic works, and when the Starlight Witch, started teaching our best girl, like, it kind of didn't go into detail, and I kind of was expecting like a Magus Bride level of like detail in terms of world building and kind of like detail when it comes to the magic and potions and all this stuff. So I'm hoping to get a lot more of that in the coming episodes.
Dalaran, you bring that up, but remember, Magus Bride took 3 episodes to truly get to its world building. I just want to put that forth.
I don't know. I was on board on that show from the very first second episode.
Exactly. Second episode. This first episode, you bring up that comparison. Yeah, this is a lot like Magus Bride's first episode. A lot of establishment of the character dynamic and the main character themselves.
I'll have to go back and rewatch the first episode because I just have the overall impression of the show together.
Yeah, we have the luxury of Magus Bride of having seen to the last episode.
But yeah, otherwise, so the main character kind of goes through this, graduates early, super young from her class, top of her class. They bill her as a prodigy, which I like. I don't know where I cut off. They build out the character as a prodigy, which I like because they don't make her out to be this like godly like main character. It's just she worked her fucking ass off and she graduated top of her class.
All the other students were too weak.
Said someone's D&D character. And
I liked that. I liked her cockiness.
She was cocky, but she wasn't like arrogant, you know?
Yeah, like, and at that point she was 15, so it does, like, yeah, of course a younger person would feel this way because, yeah, I'm better than them.
I have met plenty of cocky, arrogant teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
And also she felt very Japanese. Like her attitude when she was applying for jobs felt very Japanese. Not a
Yeah,
bad thing. Don't misunderstand me. I don't mean that as a bad thing. Just as an observation. Like that's kind of the vibe I got.
yeah. And she goes on, meets Fran, almost leaves, then comes back like, I need this.
It was really cute because we saw her insecurity. The way she was being treated by all the witches in the city made her like super insecure about herself. So when Fran does agree to take her on, like she like starts crying, like, "Oh my God, you will take me. You won't reject me." And I was like, "No, you precious bean."
I love like the comedy in the show is on point. Like this is skipping ahead a bit, but Elena, a spider came out of the bath.
Yeah, Fran was actually very funny. I laughed a few times.
Favorite character this season so far.
Fran. I thought she
Yeah,
was. Yeah, she also. I'm surprised you haven't mentioned it, but Fran, massive ara ara energy. Just so much ara ara.
it's not the only thing she has that's massive Dalaran.
God damn it.
That shower scene was pure fan service, and you know what? At least they fan serviced the legal character.
You know what?
You know what? She does have something that's massive. Her height. She's very tall.
She is very tall. Her hat's also very big.
Yeah,
But I will say about the fan service, in the scenes, she's they show Elena and Fran, kind of day to day life as Fran constantly asks Elena to do chores and favors and errands, uh, and there is a lot of good comedy there. I particularly liked the scene where she the first one she's like, "Can you make dinner?" She's like, "Yeah, sure. What would you like?" "Well, I would like can you make breakfast?" And she's like, "Of course. What would you like?" She's like, "I would like steak." And Elena's like, "Isn't it a little heavy for breakfast food?" "Yeah, okay, you're right. I should compromise. Go outside and pick some wild weeds. I'll eat that." And she's like, "Wait, no, now you're compromising too much." Like, what? Stop. I
yeah.
thought that was funny and cute. But
I,
there was a fan servicey bit where Elena kind of walks out of the shower because she's scared. There's a spider there, and they show some stuff, but it was tasteful. It wasn't like boing.
yeah, they didn't have the meat slapping sound effect. The
Yeah, it was tasteful fan service, and it was more innocent because they're just like living together. And yeah, also I didn't trust her at the beginning because while she does have Ada Ada energy, she also has anime character that doesn't open their eyes energy.
yes, exactly. That's what gave me the RR energy.
Oh no.
That and her mole. But
Yeah,
I'm happy they didn't put any like insinuation or tension of like there being feelings, like romantic feelings there. I'm happy they didn't because
no.
I was worried when she came up they would. I was like, okay, I hope they don't do this like that. Oh, this young girl is living with me while she licks her lips. But no, they didn't
I
do any of that.
I
Let me
don't know
ask
what.
something regarding our teacher here. Was it just me, or did y'all also get the feeling that she knows more about our main character than our main character knows about herself?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Definitely.
Because when she said the Ashen Witch thing, the pause before she said it's because of her hair makes me feel like there's more going on there.
Yeah, like that was something I caught, and that's what I like about the show. It's timing. It it gives me a lot of hope for it. Just knowing the genre it is, because I think I have more experience in this genre than you two do. Is that fair to say?
What would the genre of this show be?
It's episodic adventure.
Okay.
It's like it's hard to explain, but it's like in the same genre as Kino's Journey is.
Okay. No, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's
If you
the
mention
direct.
Kino's Journey 2 more times, you get to fill out your punch card and get a free smoothie.
I'm sorry, it's one of the few shows I can like think that's popular to compare this to.
Also, I apologize. I've been calling her the Starlight Witch. It's the Stardust Witch. And I remember this now because I checked my notes and I straight up went Star Platinum. Yada yada does it. Because Stardust
Yeah.
Crusaders, because JoJo's.
Yeah, to continue going beat to beat, there's like it
Oh,
goes on
cool.
for like oh, was there something you wanted to say?
Yeah, just because I know we're not going to talk about this anymore. I did laugh that basically she had her doing like level 1 RPG quests in the beginning, like just go kill X. Like she's like go kill 10 salamanders, go gather this much meat or this many mushrooms. I just found that humorous.
Yeah,
Also, oh, go on, meat.
I was just gonna say the treehouse, beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Yep, that's exactly what I was gonna bring up next. So freaking pretty.
I like say what you will about the pacing of this episode. It gives us a lot of beautiful backdrops. Like the city itself too is so vibrant, and like I just wish you saw more people in the background walking around.
I don't think. Okay, so that actually brings me to something I wanted to talk about. I was expecting to get to this at the end, but this is a good moment for me to bring this up. So the sceneries and the settings and the landscapes are all gorgeous, and it's exactly what I wanted to show. The art style of the character designs are fine. Like again, those witch outfits, there's just something about them. They look really great. They're really eye catching and like they pop. The the art of the like the art of the characters themselves is not what I thought it was going to be. I don't entirely know how to explain what I mean, but the art style is just not quite what I was expecting.
That is fair, though. It reminds me a lot of the honestly. It reminds me of the Ancient Magus Bride comparison of it, where the style of the characters doesn't exactly mix with the. It doesn't exactly mix with the show, but it still works. Like I did like comparing scenery to the characters. I didn't feel taken out of it. Like, oh, there's this giant CG thing overlaid on drawn stuff. Like, there was CG definitely, like in the fight, but it didn't take me out of it. Like, say, Dragon Ball Super CG.
Yeah, that's fair. It's just something about like I don't know if it was like Elena's rounded face or something about just the way the animation of the characters were. It was just it tapped my eye differently than the sceneries did, and I just wanted to make a note of that because I was curious what you guys thought about that. But yeah, I guess this does bring us to the fight now, doesn't it? And uh, basically what happens, right? Elena keeps doing these tasks, and then the witch keeps pushing her and pushing her and pushing her. The Stardust, witch keeps pushing her, and it's like, oh, hey, you know what? For dinner, I changed my mind. I'm not in the mood for stew, so can you go make something else? And you can see Elena, our protagonist, just becoming more and more fed up with it, but she still bites her lip and swallows it, and
She's
just
still
does
being
it.
super passive. She's shouldering it all on herself.
Because she thinks that's what she needs to do. So the witch, noticing that she's getting fed up and getting frustrated, she's like, okay, this is her breaking point. Let me push her past it, and challenges her to, well, says, let's go have a test. Because Elena's been like, are you going to teach me magic? Are you going to teach me magic? And she keeps pushing her off for 4 months. And now she's like, all right, let's go test your magic. And she's like, yay. And like, what is the test? Test by combat.
And this is some of the most beautiful action I've seen in a while. Like, I think this is better than the episode 1 Jujutsu Kaisen action because the choreography, the storyboarding, the attacks are so like inspired. I like the scene where Elena sends the rocks at Fran and Fran reverses them. It's such a beautiful fight scene, and it lasted just as long as I think it needed to. And seeing Elena is not a combatant, and that shows in her fighting style, is when she's running. She's not like running with technique. She's running like someone running away from an animal. And that, like, just these small little subtleties that added up that made me absolutely astounded at this fight. And it ends with Fran beating Elena, putting a scar on her cheek.
Does that stay?
I don't know if it did. Like, I think the implication is that Fran healed it with her magic.
Yeah.
But still, absolutely gorgeous fight, and the scene that followed after had a lot of emotion attached to it, where Elena starts breaking down, saying that she hates Fran, she hates everyone, like that the world keeps looking down on her just because she's young, just and Fran starts to regret what she did. And she like there's this little comedic scene of like, oh look, you love butterflies. No, I don't, you do.
Yeah, that got a laugh out of me.
And then you just see Fran hug her and like talk to her and letting Elena let out all this emotion. I absolutely loved these two scenes. Just seeing Elena break down at her breaking point. It's cruel, but in a way, it felt healthy to her. Like she needed to let all this out. Granted, Fran was the one that put all this there, but
Yeah.
to explain, so what happened for everyone watching was Elena's parents, specifically the mother, paid Fran to take Elena as an apprentice, but to teach her humility by essentially it was to teach her humility, but that was what her parents wanted because they noticed. You even see earlier in the episode when she says all the students were weak, she says, don't start putting other people down, the mother said. And the mother trained, and the mother wanted her to teach Elena humility. But a little subtlety that I caught was Fran also noticed something else that Elena needed to learn. She can't just shoulder everything and be passive. If there's something she doesn't like, she has to fight it, and Elena doesn't. So that's another lesson that Fran herself took upon herself to teach Elena. And I thought that was so cool. I liked that. I like how she's like, I noticed this other problem that you have, and it needs to be taken care of too.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. There was a really good lesson taught in that scene, where it's just like you think you need to shoulder everything until you earn what you've imagined yourself to earn, but you don't. You need to be more open to demanding the things that you deserve and standing up for yourself, and not taking more than you should, because what you have incredible like talent and skill, you just need experience. But if you don't keep that in mind and keep yourself in mind as well as other people, you're not going to achieve it. And like that's a really good that's a good life lesson for anyone to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good for a young girl who's about to travel the world and become a witch, because when she leaves, she's what, 18?
Yeah, like she leaves at the age of 18.
It was, and
So
this is the beginning. This is still when she's 14 or 15, because she's only been studying with her for 4 months at that point. And it's just a good life lesson for everyone to learn.
it's and it's very interesting. Like I absolutely love that scene and that lesson. Fran acts so like a master. Like I absolutely love Fran. I absolutely love her. She's my favorite character this season. Period. Like before it was Sasuke, like from Jujutsu Kaisen, but now Fran took that place. Elena already took over Sasuke's place at that point, but Fran, I just love her carefree nature, like the lessons she teaches. Like she's so carefree yet competent. She's smart, she's caring. Just the whole her whole character I enjoy, like because you can tell she actually feels regret when she makes Elena cry.
Oh yeah, massively so. Also, for those of us viewing, uh, Sasuke Kuchiki is the joke we did in our last episode, referring to Megumi Fushiguro, uh, kind of like a Bleach Naruto joke. But yeah, just know that if we're ever referring to a Jujutsu Kaisen character by Sasuke Kuchiki, it's actually we're talking about Megumi Fushiguro.
Yeah.
Fushiguro. But yeah, no, I there was a lot of regret, because her whole point was like of doing this was to like she thought she was going to finally break her and send her home like her parents wanted, but what she because she thought that she's like really like full of herself and thinks she can do everything on her own, but when she started crying, like this like somewhat menacing ara attitude of Fran just completely melts away, and it kind of you see her flaws, like she doesn't know how to deal with like she's a little awkward and she doesn't know how to deal with like dramatic or serious situations or kids. Like she starts like making butterflies and that doesn't work. Like she treats her like a child, and then she realizes she just needs to be there for her because she trusted her. I thought the hug was a little forceful. Like it wasn't. It was a little forced, but it all worked out in the end. It was a little awkward for me, but
See,
it was a really good scene.
that worked for me because it played with her awkwardness well, and as well, sometimes sometimes for parents they need to do that to children, and over those 4 months, I see Fran sort of being like a masterly motherly figure for her. Not obviously not her actual mother, but like this like not parental, but like this like influential figure on her. And sometimes she just hugged her, let her emotions out. And while the hug it did seem forceful, yes, I think that played off her character well. Like she doesn't know what else to do. She just wants to show her compassion that she cares in the way she knows how.
Hmm. Gilly, you mentioned you were a fan of Fran.
I enjoy the character. I can't even really give a reason why. I just enjoy how she is.
I mean, fair enough. She
She
is likable despite her kind of like condescending airheadedness in the facade in the beginning. And I do agree with you, Gilly. I do think she has more. There's way more to her than she's letting on. Like I don't know. There's just more to. I mean, I'm expecting in the very beginning she's reading these. Elena is reading these stories about this great witch. I don't remember her name. It was like Nalita or something like that, or Nihela. But
I think it's Ella, yeah.
yeah. Um, and there's all these like portraits on her family wall, which I'm curious to see if those come into play. But um, yeah, I'm just expecting her to have some kind of like relationship to this witch. It just
I,
seems the anime thing to do.
what I expect is I expect Elena to be a descendant of Nahella and Fran to have trained under Nahella.
Huh? Yeah,
That's
witches
what
do live for a long time. Also, can
that
we
is
just talk about how Fran's like hat and cloak has that starlight pattern and it's so freaking pretty?
yeah. Fran, everything about Fran, like she she is very like competent. She is what I imagine I want a my well, I have one right now, but she's what I'm honestly she does remind me a little bit of my just the carefree nature, but the caringness too. Just obviously not as lewd as my partner, but but yeah, no, she's caring, she's kind, compassionate, but she's not afraid to like tell you what you need to hear. Like she just said, you're just a little bit too cocky. You need to learn humility, and you're shouldering all this you don't need to. But she does it in such a kind, caring way. And you mentioned that you think that her parents paid her because they wanted her to send Elena home. That's
Yeah,
not
I
the
literally
vibe.
have a note, and like, there's a note right here I'm looking at. And it just says, "Yo, her parents suck."
I've I think you may have read into that, but I could be wrong because the vibe I got was that Elena's mother, I think she used to be a witch. Because at the end of the episode, you see her give her that other hat.
Yeah.
I think that used to be her hat, and this is probably a lesson she had to learn as well. Like, she was the first person when Elena came back to say, well, I want you to promise 3 things before you leave. I want you to know that you're just human like the rest of us. You're not special. 2, if you're gonna run into anything dangerous, you run.
You're not
3,
better than anyone, yeah.
3, have fun. Like I legitimately think her mother just wanted Elena to learn humility because that's probably something she had to learn in the past too. Because it's obvious that there's something going on with Elena, like with the ashen hair, her being a prodigy.
She's a main character.
Yeah, like I genuinely think her mother used to be a witch and is just trying to teach her a lesson. Like
I mean, I was ready for her mom to be the witch, the one of legends, but I think you're right. I think your read on that situation was a lot better, or that my read was wrong. Um, because at the end, like that really sweet, like what's the opposite of a house warming? Like when someone leaves, basically the departure scene that they had for her was really cute. And yeah, the three rules of like, remember you are not better than anyone else. If there's any danger, run and come back to us at the end of everything. I thought that was really sweet. And dad's a big blubbering softy. Mom's obviously the one who's like in charge in the relationship, and I like it. I mean, I like her mom in general, not just because she's pretty.
She probably has some leather suits in the closet.
Stop
wears the
it.
pants.
Yeah, mom's
Mom
definitely
wears the pants,
dominant
dad
kind
wears
of-
the gag.
Yep. Yep. You got it.
Yep, dad's got the gag. Yeah, mom's definitely the dom in that relationship. But yeah, it was cute. Overall, the show is cute and is very charming, and there's a lot of good there. And I look forward to seeing more character expression and.
By the way, the ending. She mentions that she's going to the mountains first. We're gonna get some mountain folk.
Yeah. Wait, I thought she was deciding between mountains and somewhere else.
I think she said, "Oh, those look like some pretty mountains. Let's go there first." I thought that's what she said.
I remember her being like, now, where should I go? To those mountains or to that southern country? Or something like that. I could be misremembering, too.
I could also be misremembering, but so
I guess
far,
we just have to wait for the next episode.
yeah, we've talked about everything I honestly have of note to talk about. Is there anything else that you two can think of?
Yes. I was hoping, I expected Fran to leave Elena the house, but when Fran flew away to go about her business, and she's like, I'm sure we'll see each other again, which, totally not ominous or foreshadowing, yeah, and then when she flew away, the house just disappeared, and I was upset. One, because the pretty tree house is gone, or the tree home is gone. Two, is like, yo, I thought she was getting a house. And then Elena's like, I'm leaving too. I was like, and so the story begins.
Yeah, like, I thought that was just interesting. Like, Fran can live anywhere, which I enjoy the idea. Like, yeah, no, she just came to set up here, was confronted, and like, okay, yeah, I'll train Elena. What I would have enjoyed seeing is a little, and we might get this later, but a little tacked on scene at the end of Fran giving back the gold to the parents and just going, I don't need it. I got something else out of this.
I don't see that happening. Fran's like take the money, and she's like, I am not a witch that can be bought with money, and pockets it, because I think Fran needs coin too.
I need bread to live. Why do you think I had Elena gathering those ingredients? I'm homeless.
You mean she doesn't eat bread, she eats weeds.
She's weeds. Which is really... Okay, so the biggest laugh I got of this episode, like, I got some chuckles and I got a good number of smiles, but the real laugh I got was after the combat, after they have this scene, and Fran, the Stardust Witch, accepts Elena as her ward fully and starts teaching her magic and also teaching her how to stand up for herself, basically how to survive in the world on her own. That dinner scene, she's just like, oh, good morning, sensei, and then Fran's just like, oh, good morning, Elena, can you make me breakfast? And she's like, yep, already, and passes her a bowl of just weeds and dirt, and Fran is just so sad.
Can I just say, Fran's nightwear is so pretty.
Yeah.
Like, it's
I'm expecting really good aesthetic in terms of, like, outfit design and wardrobe design, as well as just the settings and scenery.
Sleepyhead Fran is really good, and I know you mentioned this earlier, Gil. Characters on their own, not standing out but interacting, are really good. I keep saying this for the genre. That is the point of the genre, is because they're going to so many different places each episode, and there's not really an ensemble. It's just new characters, new set of characters after new set of characters of each country. That's kind of what they're meant to build for. Like, this character can interact well with others, and that's what I sort of enjoy of this kind of genre. So while Elena it doesn't work well on her own, I expect her to almost always have someone to bounce off of.
Yeah,
all this show is. Sorry, I just one last thing. All this show is missing is a talking cat familiar.
We're definitely going to get an animal familiar. I'll be very surprised if they skip out on the animal mascot. She's a witch.
Yeah.
But
what should be a talking broom?
A talking broom? No. Too much
Why
Kino's Journey.
there, Elena?
One thing I didn't like that I was surprised by, and I said this earlier, so I want to say this before because I hear us leading up to holding up cards. The waterfall was ugly as shit.
Really?
I liked the waterfall scene. By the way, when they're having this conversation, it's implied that Fraun and Elena speak through the night to the morning, and they sit on this ledge overlooking the waterfall where they had their combat trial. And the waterfall was CG, and it was ugly as shit, and I was really surprised by that because water animation has come a really long way in anime, and I expected a gorgeous waterfall, but we got gelatin and slime.
I didn't really notice that, but I guess if you picked up on it, then you may just paying more attention to the background of that scene. But in that scene, I was just fully invested in the characters.
Fair.
And I think it speaks a lot to that scene's quality that it kept my eyes off that.
Yeah, good point. I just shrug. I like water, and when we have shows like Magus Bride and other gorgeous animes that do a lot of incredible environments, and this show that does a lot of incredible environments, I was just really surprised by that waterfall, and a little disappointed.
Again, I didn't notice, and I think that just speaks to that scene's quality that it took my attention away from that. Because this whole episode, I was paying attention to like the backdrops and everything until that scene, like I said, fight scene. If we had an award for best scene, that would definitely be up there for me. But there's too much to pick from if we're doing best scene, so I don't think that's an award we're doing.
I thought the combat scene was pretty good. I wasn't as blown away by it as you were. But yeah, the rocks when she starts fighting back, when Elena takes the offensive and she fires off these rocks from the earth, and Fraun just teleports with them and then drops them on her, like that was really cool. But also like it was at that moment that I realized like this isn't a shonen. Like I shouldn't expect crazy over the top like Turbo 9-10 action, and for what it was pretty good. And yeah, the choreography, the body movements is really good, and I'm hoping we get... I want either more spectacle fighting or less fighting and more story interaction and settings. Like, I hope that we don't end up with this thing where the fights feel like they need to be included because that's what people want, but they're like not done as well as they could be. Like, that's something that I hesitate with, but thus far it's pretty cool.
I see the fights being more on the Ancient Magus Bride front, where they're few and far between, but when they happen, they are at least visually appealing. The most I see from the magic is just seeing Elena using it to help people, like, for example, they're going to a mountain place. If there's a rock slide, I see her using what Fraun taught her and reflecting those rocks back.
Ooh, Meep, did you move away from your mic? You sound a little far.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry.
Okay, cool. No worries.
Were you able to hear what I said?
But yeah, Gilly, I know you don't have a lot to add on these two episodes. They weren't really your cup of tea, and you had some stuff happen. But is there anything else you want to add before we hold up cards?
I'll give an opinion on the fight. I honestly wasn't impressed just at all in it.
Yeah.
It also doesn't feel like a show that, even though I get that she's a witch, the fight in general just didn't even feel right for the show at all.
I agree. I thought it was a little out of place.
I get that they're witches. I get that that's the reasoning. It just really felt off to me.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I thought
I
I thought
had-
the fight was interesting to see in terms of like what different magics they can do. I personally was a little underwhelmed by the level of spectacle. I kind of wanted more, but then again, we're spoiled in fights with shows like JoJo and Demon Slayer and just a lot of really good shonen and like My Hero. Like there's a lot of shonen, a lot of good anime, especially shonen, coming out with like incredible fight scenes. Um, so, but I also was surprised. It makes me think that maybe we'll be getting more, like episodic, but also like Monster of the Week, which I hope not. I'm
I don't
fine with
see
like that coming up once in a while, but yeah, I
I
actually
don't.
I'm more with you on that one, Gilly, than I am on Yumi. Still enjoyed it though.
The only reason I have to disagree with the fight, and your opinion isn't invalid. Like you, I just have to disagree because it for me with Ron's character, it makes sense. She's very straight and to the point in that scene. So she's like, okay, this is the best way to break her. And it was less fight of them because they never casted magic at each other at the same time. It was more see how you can handle this attack for me. Like I call it a fight because I don't really have a better word to use for it. It seemed more okay. Fran launches this attack. How does Elena deal with it? Okay, Elena goes on the offensive. Fran goes on the defensive to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, Fran was definitely like she was going hard on Elena, but like she wasn't taking it super seriously. Of course, it is a fight. It is a combat test. The only reason it wasn't like what you said a fight should be is because Elena is the first time she's having like real combat experience outside of like the academy, and she was overwhelmed. Um, yeah, I think as a first episode, because we have to remember, like, this is a first episode, and in terms of introducing a lot of factors, while I would have enjoyed learning a little bit more about her hometown and city and everything, overall did a very good job. And also learning more about how magic works, but we'll see what episode 2 and 3 bring. They introduced combat magic, they introduced alchemy, they introduced like witch dynamics, they introduced some family stuff, and most importantly, they kind of set the pace of the show and how, what to look forward to, which from what I feel like I can speak for both of us, correct me if you disagree, but is scenery and character interaction.
Mhm. And when it comes to like learning how magic works, I don't expect much from that more because this seems like a show that's like, yeah, no, magic is just something that's so widely known. You're just weaving the arcane. There isn't much to it. Like, I don't see there being like a metachlorian example, like explanation for it.
We'll see.
But
I like that kind of nitty gritty. So again, because this is my lock, I'm putting a lot of my expectations on it, but I'm gonna try to keep those in check.
I'm of the camp that I don't feel like an explanation of how magic works is something necessary for the show because again, the kind of genre or like show type this is it's about the setting itself. Like, how does this country interact? How does Elena interact with these characters? It's gonna be very indicative of that genre, and I'm a big fan of this genre, or at least the stuff that I've seen. So I
Right
don't
on.
know. To lead into cards, I'm giving this a very enthusiastic fuck. I'm not as excited for the next episode of this as I am Jujutsu Kaisen, but I am hopeful. Gilly.
The deep thoughts.
I can hope the show has a good second episode that I might actually be interested in, but as of what I've seen and how I feel, hard pass.
So that's a
Just
kill from you.
yeah, kill for me.
Okay.
And once again, I find myself in the middle. I am gonna hold up. It's a fuck. It's definitely a fuck. If not for the spectacle of the sceneries and all the art that we have yet to see of this show. But I was left wanting. There's definitely things that I want more, and for full disclosure with you two, as well as everyone watching and following along with this series we're doing, I am going to rewatch the first episode because Meep's enthusiasm mirrors my enthusiasm going in, and I want to just get another go. I want to give it another go just to see how it sits with me on another rewatch, because there are many things that I really enjoyed and a few things that like I felt didn't hit home with me. And if that's the case, I know that's fair. But I also just want to dip my toes once again. So before our next podcast, our next session of this, I'll be giving it another watch as well as the second episode, just to kind of get my bearings.
All
or
right.
re-get my bearings.
And with that, that's 2 eggplants. That's 2 eggplants for Majo Tabitabi and 1 kill. But we saved something here for the end that I at least am excited to talk about. The Jujutsu Kaisen opening. We didn't know, but it was released by the animation studio. I believe the day the anime was aired. I noticed this and I watched it, and I really want to talk about it because it does delve into some of the thoughts we had last episode. So, are we all ready to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. You've already queued it up, so let's get to it.
Our biggest issue I think we had last episode, other than pacing, was the friends don't show up in the opening at all. They do not show up in the opening at all, which gives me hope of what I said I would personally be okay with, is if they're a lesser presence. Overall.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Gil, you want to add on to this while I regain my thoughts on the opening?
I have opinions on it, but it's not really what we're the aspect we're talking about right now.
Fair. Okay. Do you have anything you want to address on that?
When I was watching through the opening, part of the thing is a lot of time when I watch through openings, I'm more listening than I am paying attention to what's going on the screen. I'm listening for the music to see how good that is. I'm less interested in the actual animation in anime openings. That's just sort of how I do things.
That's fair.
So I noticed it, but it didn't really matter that much to me when I was watching it.
See, us doing this project that we're currently doing right now allows you to kind of like overlook and kind of like take this more objective look at your habits. And Gilly, you saying that is funny because I realized that the first time I watch an opening, the music plays, but unless it's like something that really catches my attention, I am strongly focused on the visuals.
But the song is so good. Oh, okay.
I'm not saying the song is bad. Again, disclosure.
I know, I'm sad you missed it.
It was decided that we'd talk about the opening of Jujutsu Kaisen in this session kind of last minute, so I kind of ran and watched it before we all got together online and started getting ready for it. So for me, it was more important to talk about it from a show perspective, but I'll give it another listen, and by the time the next episode of Jujutsu Kaisen comes around, I'll have a stronger opinion of the music.
Yeah.
I was also listening to a lot of Overlord openings yesterday, so with those visuals, I kind of have that music playing in my head, so...
Fair, but yeah, the friends don't show up at all in it, which makes me...
They do, but they don't. Like, they show up... Okay, so...
No.
Yeah, go on.
They don't... I know because I watched this, this opening 10 times now. They don't show up at all. This might give away how I feel about it, but guys, I love this opening. It's a shonen opening, but I love it.
So here's what I think, what I like. I like the opening too, but here's like my thoughts on it. What was interesting to me is how it was set up, like the aesthetics of it, because it was a lot of like the anime, basically it was like cut manga panels with a little bit of like motion tween and rotoscoping, like some visual edits to kind of give it a little bit more like dynamic motion, but it was just like cut out of context pieces of anime, like of the manga, and scenes from the show. I didn't really see any original animation apart from introducing characters that we haven't. Well, actually, no, I'm wrong. I'm very wrong. Sorry, I'm gonna dial that back. When the opening shows a lot of the ensemble, the cast, like the teacher that we saw in the opening scene in the episode 1, and some other characters. There's animation there, but the rest of the animation is all from episode 1, right? Like, this is what I mean. Like, they show the friends, but they show the friends being swallowed by the demons. They show our protagonist fighting the same demons. It's all from episode 1. No?
No. Did you watch the one I linked?
Oh, did I watch
Dalaran,
something different?
Dalaran, I think you watched the fan opening.
Whoa.
I linked one like a week ago.
Uh-oh.
Dalaran!
Uh-oh.
You know, Dalaran, I think you might have liked it more if you watched the actual one, because I will say, while I was mostly listening, I did not say I wasn't looking, and it actually had some pretty nice backdrops that I think you might have enjoyed.
Go watch it. Go watch it. We'll vamp.
You guys talk. Meep, send me the link again.
I linked it like a week ago, saying also, by the way, also, wait.
Come on, man! Don't make me complain about how busy my life is on podcast.
I know. I'm sending it to you again.
Please do. Yeah, you guys talk about the opening while I go listen.
Listeners, this is what we call technical difficulties.
Oh, this is just funny.
Are you sure? Well, I guess it's technical if the technical difficulties is in somebody's brain, but...
Ouch. The burns
I'm just kidding with you, Dalaran.
I know. I'm gonna go watch now.
You watched the fan opening because you talked about the demon swallowing friends. I'm like, wait, that wasn't in this.
Oh yeah, this is different. This is already different.
Yeah, trust me. I think you might like the backdrops. The backdrops are probably the one thing that stood out for me as I was
I'll say
as I was watching it.
The very opening of the opening. The very opening of the opening, that like white and blacked out silhouette that then turns into the train scene. Already, I'm into it. Yeah, you guys continue talking about how much you love it. I'm gonna go watch the real opening. However, for those of you listening to the end of this podcast and this session, you now know my opinions on the fan opening, which I feel like I should link, but I have no fucking idea how to. I'll link it in the YouTube version of this.
I'm sorry, this is just funny.
I will say this, whoever the creator of the fan opening is, and you know what? I'm going to look it up now because since we're talking about it.
You tricked him good. He thought it was the real one.
You got me. I was a little surprised by the fact that it was footage from the first episode constantly, but which made me think like the opening will change every episode. Oh, yep, it says fan made right there. Well,
God damn it, Dalaran.
Okay, now you have no defense.
Zippy, who is the creator of the Jujutsu Kaisen Opening 1, OP1, fan made. Zippy, you did good. Your use of manga panels kind of showed stuff that's going to happen in the series with no context, so it wasn't technically spoilers, so it didn't fall to my issue with anime openings that I have these days, where they just spoil 2/3 of the season in it. So kudos to Zippy, and I'm going to go watch the opening now.
Alright, Gilly. I loved, my favorite part of this opening is when you see the fish swimming around his legs, and it goes to his cheek and the mouth opens. That was so cool!
I just saw the fish.
I liked the song. I liked the opening. I liked the backdrops. I didn't think it was anything like... You like it a lot more than I did. I didn't think it was anything like super great, but I did enjoy it, which is enough for me. Very few anime openings I will just sit and listen to in my spare time, so I can't really use that as a gauge here. Has to be pretty special for that. But
It's just
I did enjoy it.
also I want that panda bear. I want that panda bear to be a villain. I want that panda bear to be a villain.
Pretty sure he's an ally.
I know, but it'd just be funny watching the main character fight a panda, just having a crowd boo him. Boo!
Honestly, with how our main character is, I feel like he'll try to fight them, thinking they are some kind of monster.
Oh my god. Yes, fight the panda.
That's with the kind of character our main character is in this show. I would fully see him doing that without thinking.
Yeah. And my second favorite scene of this is the villain that licks blood off his thumb, then licks it on his lips like lipstick. That was cool.
I'm back.
Okay, I actually had an issue not with the scenery itself for that, but the fact that that looked like just another generic copy of a different villain.
Oh, really?
Once again.
Are we talking about blue-eyed dude who licks the blood?
Yes.
Yeah. I loved him. He gave me like vibes of Stein from Soul Eater, like with the stitches and everything. But I love the use of animation with him licking the blood as lipstick. That was cool.
That was one. Okay, that was a cool scene. Don't get me wrong, and I think that opening is hella fucking cool. Like, wow. Sorry, Zippy, you did a good job, but ooh, that was awesome. Which only reminds me that I have to look forward to the animation and choreography and overall composition of Jujutsu Kaisen. Goddamn, shonens get a lot of animation love these days.
I already know I'm gonna have to put a lot of thought into the shows I'm gonna marry.
Yeah.
The show I'm gonna marry.
But since I've already jumped in here, the scene with him is actually one of those that I didn't like. Not because the scene was bad; it was very cool and pretty. Like a lot of dynamic lighting and like just I don't know, just freaking pretty. It's things like that like, oh, he's a bad guy. And
I'm sorry the scene didn't come to your home and suck your dick personally, Dalaran.
well, you know what?
I'm sorry you didn't bring back your dead dog.
You know what? We don't have an anime streaming service that does either of those tasks. So if we figure it out, we'll be billionaires. But until then, it was just it's like I don't want to know who the villain is of the arc. I want it to be shown to me. So I'm sure a character like, well, I hope the character will get a very creepy introduction instead of like because like think about it. Like all the different exorcists, which were really cool, like the ensemble that they're previewing here was really well done. Some showed abilities, otherwise it was just this really cool, dynamic, action-paced kind of like montage for the first half of the of the show. Of the opening was like spot on, exactly what I want. No context, just original content from the show of people behaving in the way that is expressive of them. And kind of sets up the things that we'll be dealing with like the cool freaking yokai demon curse coming through the glasses when they found him. Like I thought it was really great.
He doesn't strike me as villain of the arc, though. Is my thing.
Well,
he strikes me as a villain, not villain of the arc.
Yeah, he seems pretty. He seems kind of bad guyish to me. So, but like for a show like Jujutsu Kaisen that is dealing with these very occult, cursed, demonic aspects. A character like that is not guaranteed to be a bad guy. And you know what? Maybe I'm talking out of my ass and the show... Well, maybe not... Okay, not talking out of my ass. I'm being too hard on myself. But maybe the show got me. And it's going to subvert my expectations. And he's not a bad guy. He's an anti-hero. Or, he's just crazy. But he's not, like, a villain.
Speaking of anti-heroes, that fucking teacher... Oh, does he give me those vibes.
Yeah... He also kind of gives me... What's the character in My Hero Academia? Azuma? Azuma-sensei? Eraserhead?
Oh yeah, Eraserhead.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably because he's cool and he has a blindfold, but whatever.
But Dallor, that scene where the fish swims by the main character's legs, then his cheek opens up.
Because he wants to eat the fish.
With the panda bear running from rooftop to rooftop. That panda bear is the main villain. Calling it now.
Bear confirmed. This show has at least one dose of Kuma.
See, everything comes back to Kuma.
Listen, if we get fighting panda bear that just punches curses, I'm marrying this show. Hold me to that.
You know that's what we're gonna get. Come on.
Listen, I absolutely love this opening. It gives me so many things to look forward to. And the ending where you just see the main character staring at the curse on the throne.
Oh
and then
yeah.
you see the finger growing a stem in the water.
Kurama. Not Kurama. Sorry. What's the nine-tailed fox? It is Kurama, right? In Naruto.
I don't know.
Yeah. Whatever. Nine-tailed fox confirmed. He's gonna be going into his inner realm with the demon and talking to him.
Yes, but still, that scene with the finger in the water growing a stem, like, it's just so cool. So cool.
It's
so
really
many cool things in this opening, like the lady putting on the glasses, the fish curse. Like,
Where was this? Where was this energy for Majo Tabitabi?
Majo no Tabitabi is a more laid back.
Where was this energy for King's Raid?
I can't give you excuses for that because King's Raid was just bad.
You can't give energy to something that should be dead.
Listen,
you don't get my energy.
Listen, here's the thing. If you didn't enjoy Majo no Tabitabi, I can understand that. If you enjoyed King's Raid, I would be sitting here with a squint.
I said I wanted to give everything a fair shake, and I'm just not excited or enthusiastic about King's Raid continuing. The two
because
things
we know it's going to be the same thing.
The two things that it has going for it are the Dark Elves, which are going to be edgy as shit, and the Dead Mom, which, who knows, maybe it's going to be like a really cool hook, or it's going to be something we've seen in dozens of anime before.
Speaking of Dead Mom, in the opening of Jujutsu Kaisen, you see like there's a female character, but it has that fuzzy look to where it's a flashback. So I'm wondering, did our main character have a girlfriend that died?
Oh. I don't know about that.
She didn't look like old enough to be a mother, and it looked like a flashback, and it
she looks... I thought that was his mom.
I don't think it is, because it had like the flashback fuzz, and it's implied that he's never known his mom, right? Like, he's never known his parents.
He knows, like, he could know them from a young age and not remember them.
Maybe? I don't know. I think it'd be more interesting if he had a girlfriend.
Let me tell you... What? Can't say that. I'll get VOD muted. Let me tell you about my girlfriend.
But, Biano, and this anime opening, I'll give it a no,
yeah.
We already saw that episode.
Also, I misspoke in the beginning. It wasn't like a black and white out. I think my brain just filled that way. But like the very first second of the opening, where like they show his like demon kind of like etchings on him, and then they show it running across the town, which is super pretty. And Gilly, you were right. Like, I mentioned this in the last episode when we were reviewing the first episode of Jujutsu Kaisen, but like this show looks so much better than I expected it to. Specifically the settings and the backdrops. Like, they put a lot of love and attention into it.
Yeah, no, early frontrunner for me. Like, this show and this opening, the only show that I'm truly excited to see the next episode from is this show so far. Like we have a good lineup this season. Like, while I'm really
do.
Yeah, while I'm really hopeful for Tabitabi, I'm not like super excited for it like I am with this.
I'm excited for Bear on Roof.
I'm excited for more episodes of Kuma 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 Bear.
Do you guys think the panda bear is just looking at his wife in the zoo?
Oh no, I hope that's not the case. Also, it looks like our main character will get some new friends.
Ever since I've become sentient, I haven't been able to love anymore.
Main character needs to get new friends. Last one died. Need to get new ones.
They no die.
I hope not. There's nothing like great about them, but I don't want them to die.
Yeah, I was rooting for them not to die too, though I fully expected them to die.
Also, it really lingers on him, Ling-looking guy at the end of the opening, like when they're all sitting by the tree, like guy that looks like Ling from Fullmetal Alchemist.
Oh, I see. I know what you mean. But even that scene is
Really?
like really cool. It doesn't linger on him. I think he's just a dude next to him in the shot. I didn't get any
Well,
foreshadowing
if,
things from it.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. That character, you don't see that character yet in the opening, and it really focuses on those two. At least in my opinion, it seems like it focuses on those two. Like those are the two in focus. So I wonder if there's gonna be something there. Like, hey, maybe we have a gay main character. Who knows?
Who knows?
I feel like
Also,
he's going to be just completely asexual.
he's gonna be
I don't.
dumbass sexual.
I don't need another asexual shonen hero, please.
It's
I feel like
anime, my
he's going to
dude.
be another Luffy.
No, give us Ichigo, not Luffy, please.
Ichigo sucks too.
Ichigo is better than Luffy. At
Anyway,
least.
but yeah, it's like for the first like 55 minutes, it's all like really cool OC content, and then it shows creepy blood dude, and then it continues showing off the powers, kind of like displaying
You
what
mean
everyone's
55
abilities are, which I guess it's fine.
Dalaran, you mean 55 seconds?
Did I say minutes? I definitely meant seconds.
You said minutes.
No. The first 55 seconds, it's all like cool introductory shit of like people
That's
just
a
doing
long
stuff.
opening.
3 episodes later.
Now we get to watch the episode.
It's a short.
I think we've sucked off this opening enough.
Speak
are
for
we ready?
yourself. We have to talk about Grandpa.
He
Yes, who
always
doesn't want to suck off Grandpa? What?
I'm just expecting the Grandpa stuff to be the exposition with Grandpa to be done in flashbacks moving forward. The opening made me feel like that's the direction they might take it.
I do. Now, this isn't a theory. This is just me. This is just me posing a question. With how this show is, do you think there will be stuff with Grandpa, but rather than flashbacks, he will be a fucking ghost?
Yes, I want crotchety Grandpa Ghost.
Yes, please give us Grandpa Ghost. Grandpa is in the panda bear.
Grandpa is the panda bear.
Grandpa possesses the panda bear.
That's our theory for 3 episodes in.
But that's not just a theory. That's an anime theory.
I was reincarnated as this panda bear. They made me breed.
They made me breed.
Oh god, no.
You know what it's like to breed as a panda? It's not fun.
Alrighty. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I do
That's our
believe
closer.
this is a good point to end today's session.
Yeah. I don't have any other final thoughts. Just I don't really have anything to plug either. I've been Meep, aka Soul King 777.
I am Gilly, and not particularly excited for anything for any of the two shows we talked about today, but I'm definitely excited for more Jujutsu
Come
Kaisen
on.
and my show.
Come on,
Yeah, no.
don't kick Majo no Tabitabi while she's down.
Listen,
She's not down. You both said yes.
Fair.
it's just not for him. That's
I genuinely think it's that way. And I've been Dalaran, the one who locked Majo no Tabi, as well as the person who you can catch streaming this live at twitch.tv/Dalaron Quest. DALARON Quest. We normally stream these on Mondays. Check us out. Join the conversation. Otherwise, feel free to jump in the comments or wherever you're watching this now and let us know what you think about the shows and whatnot. Because this is fun, and more people involved makes it only funner.
Dalaran. Listen, it'll be fine. Next week, Gilly will kill my lock.
There's a good chance. What?
I am still not hesitant, apprehensive of your lock, mate.
Like, both of our locks are based off of light novels, though, which, hey, go either way.
Yeah. Alrighty, guys. It's been real. Thanks again, everyone, so much for watching. Huge shout out for TFS for allowing us to use this. It's going to be a little bit different going forward. Don't expect all the same iconography and terminology, but they set this format in play, and we're going to have a lot of fun with it. And I think I speak for everyone when I say we hope you have a lot of fun with us doing it too.
Also, late disclaimer: spoilers, obviously.
Yeah, good job
Yeah.
putting that at the
Oh,
end.
and
And
there's gonna be things added on because I forgot certain things. I'm sorry.
oh,
Obviously, as we could say, next time there's gonna be the discussion might have to be made briefer on each topic because there's going to be more than 2 shows if I'm reading it correctly.
yep.
Second of all, for at least the 2 today, they're both on Funimation. They, far as I can tell, not on Crunchyroll. A little disappointing for me. Was harder to watch. And Dalaran, you said they've aired both on YouTube as well.
They didn't air on YouTube. I think people uploaded them to YouTube when I was looking up openings and information.
I think one of them actually did actually officially put it on YouTube too. I think Majo no Tabitabi did.
Majo no Tabitabi was officially released onto YouTube
Yay.
for their Korean audience, is what I read.
Huh.
I think it said Majo no Tabitabi is also available on Anime Lab. I'm not familiar with that one personally.
I've heard something about it.
Also, for last week, Kuma 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 Bear, I believe, will be available on Crunchyroll as well. Same with Jujutsu Kaisen.
Nice.
Yep.
And lastly, our opinions are not facts. If we don't like a show that you're really liking, like if you're really positive on King's Raid, hey, all the power to you. You're valid. All of us just hard disagree.
Yeah, just call us idiots, and maybe we'll respond and say no you. I don't know. Depends on how I'm feeling.
Listen, the only reason I put this out there is because on both shows I watched, I went to the comments of the streaming service I used, and I watched Majo no Tabitabi on its official YouTube release, and people were really warm on that, like fans of the light novel. Jujutsu Kaisen, I ended up watching on one of the official streaming services, and I watched the comments, and people were really loving it that played the mobile game. So I just thought I'd put this out there, like, hey, our opinions are not facts.
You mean King's Raid?
Or yeah, King's Raid.
Jujutsu Kaisen's got a mobile game? Shit, brought to you by FMK Anime is sponsored by Jujutsu Kaisen mobile game, wherever that gets released.
Listen, if Raid
brought to you by Bleach, Immortal Soul.
Have you guys heard about Raid?
If Raid Shadow Legends wants to sponsor us, we will take that blood.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored.
We won't show your game unless you pay us money.
But yeah, for those of you who stuck around until the very, very end, we have a wonderful prize for you. Spoilers, you have been warned.
Listen,
I feel like the many things except for the fake sponsorship should have been put in the beginning of the episode, eh?
Yeah, I don't think it's that much of an issue because it's obvious we're talking about these shows in length. But yes, we should put those in the beginning from now on. But hey, it's test phase.
I think, yeah, these are why these are going to be episode zeros and episode A's and B's and C's, because these are the interlude to the season, and when everything is out together. Yeah, when everything is out together, we will then stick to the original format of talking each show one after the other.
Yes, and for those that stuck to the very, very, very end, behind the stuff, Akudama Drive was not going to be on this list until we realized Fumetsu no Ana E is actually going to come out in winter instead of fall. It got delayed, so I did another draw, and we got Akudama Drive.
Yeah, and I was excited for that show too, but I'm also excited for Akudama Drive.
Warheist.
Let me get that. Yes, that one still I don't know how to feel about, but what to expect. But yeah, give me my Cyberpunk 2077, the anime, in Akuma Drive.
Yeah, no,
I'll just do an actual anime if they felt like doing something.
Yeah. But
alrighty.
This has been FMK Anime. Thank you all for watching.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to our mess.
It'll
probably get better, but maybe not.
We will most likely air this tomorrow on Twitch.
Well, dating it here makes little of a point since people will be hearing it in their real time. But yeah, this will be airing on Twitch.
What is time other than our perception of it?
It's true. Nothing but a construct made by our simple, human, arrogant minds. Now, before I become more of a villain... Huh?
I only asked because one of our loving fans messaged me and asked when we are going to air.
Aw, that's awesome. Yeah, we'll message them after we wrap up, which we're going to be doing here. So before I become any more villainous on mic, I bid everyone adieu. Thanks again for coming, and like Gilly said, we might get better, or we won't. No promises. But your feedback is really what decides it. So if you guys have any recommendations or thoughts, please feel free to reach out and drop them in our comments or into like DMs, because this is a lot of fun, and we want everyone to have a lot of fun with it too.
Yeah. Thank you all for listening. We will catch you all next time.
Appreciate you all. Bye.
Goodbye.
No, we really do appreciate you all.